In 2005, the Cook Islands was devastated by 5 tropical cyclones in the space of as many weeks. 3 of the 5 reached Category 5 status and caused almost 17 million Australian dollars in damage across the nation's southern group of islands. Climate projections for the Cook Islands suggest that cyclones will occur less frequently, but when they do occur, they will be more intense. Cleaning up the aftermath of such storms has high costs, damaging key infrastructure, including international airports and seaports, which impact the economy of the Cook Islands.
I mean, cyclones are not a new thing for this area. They've been getting cyclones for forever, and there's reports right back even in the missionaries' logs about cyclone events that have impacted Avarua.
Matt Blacker is an Australian coastal engineer working in Avarua, the capital of the Cook Islands.
We're basically looking at the vulnerability and risk from climate change, but mostly from extreme cyclone events for the north coast of Rarotonga.
Mr. Blacker and his team from Australia's Water Research Laboratory have measured the topography of Avarua and the depth of its surrounding lagoon. Using this data, they were able to produce models that show which areas of Avarua were vulnerable to flooding, storm surge and wave impact during more extreme cyclones.
The project's given us the opportunity to model this area in much more detail than what has been done in the past, and to look at the outcomes of some severe events, and to be able to have a look at what might happen in larger events than what have been seen before.
It is important because there's a lot of investment in the study area. We've got our major infrastructure in that area that was studied. So we need to know what are the likely scenarios or impact that will happen to our major infrastructure.
The more developed Avarua becomes, and the more it relies on tourism income and that kind of thing, the more these events become significant, if you like, or the more dollars and value there is at risk from these sort of events. We're providing information that will allow the local government organisations to be able to manage that risk in the future and to be able to design and allow for that risk with their planning.
In 2009, the Cook Islands government sought assistance from Australia's Pacific Adaptation Strategy Assistance Program to review its climate change activities.
At that time, we started to realise that the way that we had been looking at climate change, even the institutionalization of climate change in government, was very ad hoc, very dysfunctional really, and and quite fragmented. At the time, bits of it were in environment, bits of it were in foreign affairs, in that sort. So there was really no central coordinating mechanism.
A key recommendation from the review was to establish a dedicated climate change division within the Office of the Prime Minister.
From the review, and based on our own consultations with our communities, we felt that climate change was best placed in the Prime Minister's office because it wasn't an environment issue, it was actually a development issue. So it made sense for these things to come together under, sitting under the whole national development framework.
And having the climate change division within the Office of the Prime Minister gave it a bit more strength, elevation, and I think it just shows the importance of that issue to the government, and not only to the government but to the people of the Cook Islands. And indeed it is. It's an extremely important issue for us. I mean, we're low-lying, we're very vulnerable. We're on the front line of climate change impacts.
Ms. Tira is the inaugural Director of Cook Islands Climate Change. A significant task for Ms. Tira has been to implement a joint national action plan, commonly referred to as JNAP, which was developed to help with coordinating climate change activities across government.
Well, we've got the JNAP, and that is a very important framework for us. It's an important framework for us because it will actually, it provides us direction. It also allows us to know who's doing what, and that we're not only we're the duplication, we're avoiding duplication, but also we want to address our priority areas. The other thing about the JNAP is that it's closely linked with our overarching policy document, which is the National Sustainable Development Plan. So we do have one priority area in the National Sustainable Development Plan called resilience, and the JNAP basically is more the details to address the resilience part of the National Sustainable Development Plan.
As the JNAP is only a 5-year plan, Climate Change Cook Islands is now drafting a climate change policy to extend the government's commitment to beyond 2015. Mi Matamaki, a senior officer for the Cook Islands National Environment Service, is consulting with communities on 5 of the nation's remote outer islands to ensure that the new policy considers the knowledge and concerns of its entire population.
In order to produce a Cook Islands-wide policy for climate change and disaster, it's important to get the views of not just people here on Rarotonga, but mostly from the outer islands, because they're seeing climate change every day. They live on the coast, they have very low-lying islands, so it's important to get their views and their ideas also to make it a Cook Islands policy.